almost 1 week since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, the news cycle has been dominated by information about legal cases, changing laws, and rallies in support of or against the decision. But tonight, we want to share with you the real stories behind the abortion debate. These are real decisions faced by real people at one of the most difficult times in their lives. Tonight, we introduce you to two women who are opening up and sharing their very personal stories with us. Both women say the decision to have an abortion was heartbreaking. Their perspectives as they emerged on the other side of that decision, vastly different. First, a West Michigan mother was faced with an unimaginable choice when doctors discovered that her medically complicated pregnancy would end in heartbreak. News 8's Emily Leonard shows us how she is spreading her message that abortion is health care.
They almost look like cosmos, but different color.
Amanda Major is raising her young family in a rustic home that's been in her family for generations. Married to her high school sweetheart, the couple was thrilled to learn their firstborn little girl, a toddler at the time, would soon be a big sister.
The pregnancy was going pretty well until my anatomy scan, which is about 19 weeks.
The doctor had some concerns about her growing baby and sent Amanda to see a specialist, an appointment that left her waiting and anxious for 2 weeks.
I just remember them saying that, there's something wrong with your baby's heart.
Doctors also found several anomalies with the baby's bones, lungs, and other major organs.
She was not growing properly, and there was an issue with the placenta, and it was just complete shock.
What came next was a choice, an impossible choice.
Basically, they laid it out, you have two options: either terminate the pregnancy, have an abortion, or continue to carry the pregnancy. It wasn't too likely she would make it to term, and if she did, not likely that anything but comfort care could have been given to her. We made the compassionate choice to end the pregnancy for my sake, my health, my well-being, my toddlers, my husband's, and ultimately the baby that we had hoped for.
The couple traveled across the state in a snowstorm on Christmas Day, where their doctor, who also gave up her Christmas Day with family, performed that abortion.
My personal experience was heartbreaking because it was a pregnancy that I really wanted, and it wasn't the outcome that I wanted, but I don't regret it. I have never regretted it once.
Amanda found support online with others who were in the spot that she now found herself.
I just want to get my story out there because there's a lot of shame and stigma surrounding abortion.
Advocacy has been an outlet for her pain. She became a founding member of Northwest Michigan for Reproductive Freedom, a reproductive rights advocacy group.
I wanted to do something, and all I could picture was families like mine going through the same thing, but not having any option, not having any support.
Their work is ramped up recently with the fall of Roe v. Wade, which has left Amanda, now the mother of a 7-year-old little girl and a 3-year-old son, with a full plate.
Many different people need abortions, and at different times in their lives and for different reasons, and it's important.
In Oceana County, Emily Leonard, News 8.
With a different perspective, another woman who had an abortion tells us she's regretted the decision ever since. She wants mothers to know there are resources available so they don't have to go through what she did. News 8's Megan Bunchman has her story.
What makes me any different than someone who's sitting in a prison cell because they murdered another human being? Nothing. The only difference is that Michigan said it was legal for me to do it at the time.
Tammy Ersty will never forget and always regret the day that she stepped into the Heritage Clinic for Women to abort her child. She says that even leading up to that day, Ersty considered herself anti-abortion, but she feared her partner would leave her, which outweighed her faith.
I was already a single mom, and I was struggling to take care of the daughter I already had. I had convinced myself that it was no big deal.
Now, more than 2 decades later, Kirsty says she knows just how big of a deal that one decision was.
A tiny stone, even a pebble, causes a ripple effect in a pond. Well, that's what abortion does in your life. It affects every aspect of your being and every relationship that you have in your life.
Shame, regret, and even anger are just some of the emotions she continues to grapple with. She says sometimes a smell or a sound will even trigger her back to remembering that actual day.
What I remember most is overwhelming shame. So overwhelming that I could not stop crying uncontrollably. I wept and wept and wept in that waiting room and could not leave that chair.
Kirsty has always considered herself a person of faith, but says it was childhood trauma, including abuse, that led her to living a more destructive younger life. If she had known that programs like the Pregnancy Resource Center existed, she says she may have made a different decision.
It's almost like you can convince your mind if you're only, say, 4 weeks or so, right, that it's not really a baby yet. Right? Because that's what culture tells you. That's what the clinic tells you. That's what the abortion industry tells you. So it's like you can kind of convince yourself to believe the lie, which is what I did, because that's how I was able to get through it.
It took Kirsty years to even talk about the choice she made, let alone accept it. She says that it was through her faith and prayer work that she was finally able to open up and dig deeper. One day, while she was praying for answers, the name Josiah came to her, which means
mighty warrior, God heals. So that spoke a lot to me.
It was in that moment that Kirsty knew and named her aborted son, whose life is still remembered even now, etched into a memorial at the Garden of Hope. Kirsty now works for Right to Life Grand Rapids, where she visits area churches in hopes that by having difficult conversations with those who are considering or who have had an abortion, the stigma and shame may go away. And perhaps, she says, even better, others will choose life in the first place. In Grand Rapids, Megan Bunchman, News 8.
And you can find our full coverage of the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade and the fallout online right now at woodtv.com.